Hi, I'm Suneera and I'm a mom of two, a daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who went from scaling an idea to $1 billion business. Yes, $1 billion business. Along the way, I learned that less than 2% of female founders ever hit 1 million in revenue, and I became obsessed on a mission to change that. I believe that there is so much gatekeeping in business knowledge, and that we as female entrepreneurs should be learning from other female founders and leaders who have broken the statistics. Since I never went to CEO school, I've had to learn it all the hard way, but you shouldn't have to, because we believe that you deserve to have it all. And honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat because class is officially in session. Welcome to CEO School. Hi everyone, welcome to CEO School. I'm your host, Suneera, and today we are talking all things live events and conferences. We're going to hear from Lucy Miller, who is the founder and CEO of TN Women Connect and Alabama Women Connect. What she does is throw the most amazing conferences, and with a super strong background in real estate and marketing, Lucy excels in cultivating authentic relationships among like-minded business women, and that is why she started the Tennessee Women Connect. And she facilitates virtual and in-person events that foster genuine connections and collaboration specifically for women and specifically in these states. And I'm so excited for this conversation because we met because I'll be keynoting live at TN Women Connect this fall. And so Lucy and I thought it'd be a great idea to kind of talk a little bit about her journey, building live events, her start, why she believes this is super important. Because when I was on the call with her, last month discussing the details about the conference, I was like, Lucy, you throw so many events. I feel shit scared to throw live events. And she was honestly coaching me through that. And I was like, we've got to have you on the show. Anyone who has a community anywhere needs to bring people together because post-pandemic, let's face it, this is super important. We're craving not just connections like online. We want offline in real life relationships and connections. And so that is what today's episode is all going to be about. And Lucy, I'm super excited to welcome you to CEO School.
Thank you for having me. So excited.
Super, super pumped. So before we kind of dive into all the tacticals of, running live events and all the things, I'd love for the women to get to know your background a little bit and why, how this journey started and why you started TN Women Connect.
Yeah, well, I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. So that is a destination place that so many people are wanting to visit, but I actually grew up here. So I'm a local girl. And really my journey started because I was looking for a place for me to find genuine connections for business purposes. And there's a lot of groups out there. So I just want to be the first to say there's a lot of different ways for women and men to network together and separately, but I was looking specifically in my town in Franklin, which is a suburb of Nashville. And there really wasn't anything that was grabbing my attention enough to stick with it, to show up consistently and be a part of it. And it's kind of a funny story. I love to say I accidentally started this and now I'm on purpose growing this business. But I was scrolling a Facebook moms group on a car trip. And there was a mom in Franklin that asked, where did the professional women around here network? And I was like, oh, what's the answer? And so I clicked on the comments and a lot of people didn't know the answer. Some had a few ideas, but it really encouraged me to, in that moment, think, I should just start something. And so I looked at my husband. I was like, I should just start a little thing and we'll meet at happy hour and we'll do some networking. And so I really quickly, in that moment, created a Facebook group. I called it Franklin Women Connect. And I went and put that link right back in that group, that comment thread. And I said, ladies, I just started a group. Let's get together. Let's connect. And 5 minutes later, there was 30 women in that group. And I was just blown away, what's happening? So we had our first gathering in January of 2020. So kind of really awesome year to get things going. But we had our first event for networking and I wasn't sure how many would show up. So I had 2 girlfriends go with me just in case. We were going to have a good time regardless. And we had an amazing night. There was about 10 of us there total. And I love to look back at that picture from that first event, because I'm still in contact with most of those women to this day. But we just had amazing, authentic, conversations and connections about business and life and what you're doing to grow your business and what I'm doing and how can we collaborate or cheer each other on. And so that really encouraged me to keep going. So we had another lunch that month, and then we had a few good months, is what I like to say, before the pandemic really impacted us meeting in person. So we took a COVID break, and in the fall of 2020, actually, we started meeting back together in person outside. So I had been getting requests from women wanting to know, like, when are we getting back together? So kind of I can't really fast forward through it much more, but 2021 and 2022 were just huge growth years for us. We expanded to, we're now in 12 cities around Tennessee. And that's really been organic growth. That's been women raising their hands saying, hey, we want this in our city. How can we, have your events here? Or me knowing somebody and knowing that city would be a great place for us to start a chapter. And then we recently expanded to Alabama, and we're going to be doing the same thing there as well. And so it's grown in my eyes because of the authentic connections that happen, the real relationships that are formed. Business, happens and is referred, and then great friendships are made too. And I think it's that genuine, just interaction in person that's been our strength.
There's nothing like that in-person genuine connection. Like, there is absolutely nothing like it. Zoom cannot replicate it. No digital community can fully replicate it. I'm super proud of what we've built digitally. It started in 2020, kind of in similar, started by accident, now growing on purpose. I love that line, by the way. I think it's such like a true entrepreneurial, like, there's two sides of it. When I first started Stacks, I was truly trying to solve a problem that I was after. But with CEO School, it was just organic. It was just by accident, now growing on purpose. So I absolutely love that. But there's nothing that replicates that in-person feel. And I think we're just so exhausted. Like, I have so much Zoom fatigue. Like, I literally have so much, and when I mean Zoom fatigue, like whatever digital platforms are, but I do have that online fatigue, and there is just nothing that can be replaced for that. And you don't want it all the time. I would say the pandemic definitely taught me so much about, like, getting my life back in terms of not having all the commute time and getting more time with the family and really being purposeful with those connections and not just showing up for everything. But I think we almost went too far in that direction. And I think that the world is suffering mentally. Business is suffering, and like, ideas are not happening. Collaborations aren't happening. Like, there's so many things that you just can't replicate without that, like, authentic energy. And so I do think that people are craving that back. And I love that you kept going, like, even through the pandemic. Like, that is a moment, like, you literally kept going through the hardest times of, like, you're like, okay, now we're going to open back up in the fall and meet outside and make it happen. So I just have a huge appreciation for how you've scaled this business. And if you were able to grow it now to, across all of Tennessee, now you're moving into the next state. I could see this truly being like the go-to networking event for women everywhere. And so I'm just so honored to have you here today. And I want to know.
It's funny. So talking about Zoom fatigue. So we tried Zooming some during that COVID break, and I actually kind of gave up on it because people, they weren't showing up. We'd have a few people there, and it just was, they weren't interested. And even now we have one Zoom a month. It's a Zoom lunch and learn, where we have someone kind of teach a topic and then we network. It is not very attended compared to the hundreds of women that attend our events in person. So they're really craving that in-person connection. And like you said, you just can't, you can't beat it. So it's interesting.
I think that's super, super interesting that you're like, I can get hundreds of people to show up in person, physically show up, come do a thing. And I can't get, a dozen to show up on Zoom with like a fantastic speaker, because it's so much easier to get, because I run a digital community, and, it's so much easier to get people to commit to a digital event than getting somebody physically to, like, and you have so much access, right? You have like so much access because anyone can show up but they're like, forget the speaker, forget the workshop. Like, we just want to like get together in person and probably just have a glass of wine with other like-minded women who just
Yes,
get it.
absolutely.
What is it? So like, let's talk through like, what are you seeing on like, you know, like, like what are these women what are women craving? Like, not these women. I'm craving that. So what is making it successful?
Well, I think it's, I love to joke. We've not had any mean women show up at our events. You know, obviously that's not a perfect example of that, but for the most part, and you know, it does start top down with the things we talk about, the way we greet people, the way we're excited for anyone and everyone to join our events. But for the most part, the women that show up and are part of our community they're excited to grow. They're excited to cheer each other on. They're excited to learn from each other. So they've got those hearts ready and willing to work together. Or like I say, if nothing else, just be excited for another woman's success. But, you know, I think a lot of what we see happening in addition to, hey, what does your business do? What does my business do? How can we work together? So in addition to that, it's let's brainstorm together. Like, what is something you're struggling with? Or, you know, how can, you know, we brainstorm together on something to make your business better. We actually had a pretty large coffee networking event yesterday. And there was a woman that came who was just kind of in that startup phase of her company. And she hadn't decided on a name, hadn't decided on a branding. She really didn't have anything, but she was so excited to be there in this room full of women. And she left with having pretty much decided her company name because she sat at the table with 6 other women and they bounced around a couple of different names and topics. And I'm pretty sure she landed on what's going to now be her new company name. And I love that because not only are you getting potential business opportunities, but it's, you know, you're growing your company while you're there as well and your confidence.
I love it. I've honestly we have such a request. And I think that's, Lucy, what you and I were talking about is like, there's such a request at CEO School. And Lucy and I were chatting on how we can partner together on like bridging the physical side of it for CEO School. And the reason why I just haven't done it is one, because I was running like my company. And so like this was kind of like, or like on the side. So I was running stacks. So I didn't have the capacity to do it. And one of the things last year I had decided was like, we need to have a conference. Like that is something I would like to do, is host a conference and just bring everyone together and just start small, but get the first one going so that we can have a signature event that people can come to. And it is so much work. It's like literally like, it was like planning my wedding all over again. I was like, this is way too stressful. And it's so much work to to do it and do it right. And so I kind of got, you know, I got cold feet. Like I literally had wedding cold feet on this like conference.
It's not just like come to my wedding. Like, hey, I also need you to buy a ticket. You can't just come for free.
Yes. No. You can't just come for free. Exactly. And then like, how do you price it? Like there's so much strategy that goes into doing it. And like our goal wasn't to like make a ton of money on the event, but just doing an event right requires like, you know, large venues and the production of it all. And then of course, like our brand aesthetic, like the things that I wanted were definitely like, at like I didn't want to have like a starter, you know, conference. I wanted something that was going to be high end and just beautiful. And I just felt like the timing last year just wasn't it. And so, this year we are putting all the work now into, you know, doing all of our research. Like last year was like on a whim to be like, hey, we're just going to go about it. And then I actually met another amazing, like an event planner, but strategic planner for events. And that's like what she does, is throw women's conferences. And there's like so much strategy around like, don't just pick. I was like, oh, we'll just do Orlando because that's where I live. No, where is our audience, right? Like and I apply all this to business, but I don't know why from an event standpoint, just haven't put in the work. And so the first thing that we did was take a look at where is our audience actually located? And so we found, okay, most of our audience is California, Florida, and New York. And so kind of like those 3 areas. So it makes sense for us to kind of pick an area where we already have a very strong community present in that area. And so, or we could pick something like Dallas, where we can have people come from both sides of the country, and it's like an easy 2-hour flight. But what I'm trying to say is there is a business approach and a business strategy to throwing a conference and throwing these live events. And I love how you've organically grown it. I'm excited for all the things up ahead. I think there's going to be a lot you're going to see from Lucy and Suneera coming, hopefully two forces together. But I would love to get into some of like the hardships and the tech, because it's not easy. So definitely a lot of work, but once it's going to happen, it becomes like your signature thing. It becomes a signature event. And I do believe that anyone who's running, we have a lot of women that have different styles of businesses, but for women, community, community is important, and we naturally also cultivate communities. And so bringing those communities together, whether it's a customer conference, whether it's a user conference, whether it's an advisor, like whether it's like a appreciation event, whether it's bringing your vendors together, I do think that there are ways for you as a CEO to drive this in-person connectivity to your brand, to your products and services. So what advice do you have for women who are listening now to the show today saying, hey, I've never thought about, I've wanted to do it, but how do I get started? So if you could give us the Lucy playbook on how you take it from 10 to now hundreds of women showing up to the events, we would love a mini course, on running and workshopping a live event.
Well, I'd say lots of guts. No, it's funny because so let me preface all of this that I am not an event planner.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do like simple birthday parties for my kids and I throw it together last minute. Like I am not this event planner extraordinaire. There are so many amazing ones out there, but I will say as far as the live event goes, my conference we've done now, this will be our third year. I've not hired an event planner. I've really taken that on. So I've learned a lot. But month in and month out with what we do at Tennessee Women Connect and Alabama Women Connect is smaller, simple events. So like from that perspective, we're not doing some grand event in, 12 cities with 24 events a month. We're just having my chapter leaders show up with name tags and a smile and ready to facilitate awesome connections. So we really try to keep that focused on the people and the connections made, which I love. That enables us to have more and not really overthink it and just keep it really simple. But in 2021, we were really picking up momentum we were in Franklin, Brentwood, and Nashville. So all just, smaller suburbs, if you will, of Nashville. And we had so much momentum with women coming to events and asking for more and wanting more and just wanting to be at so many things. And a trusted business friend of mine who actually speaks and, coaches people on speaking, she said, Lucy, I know you've said that you want to do a big learning event, but you can do this now. Like you don't have to wait till next year. You've got the people, you've got the momentum. You can do it. And I mean, I'm a really fast decision maker. And I was just like, okay, yeah, you're right. And so that started the process. And hindsight, really looking at that was a really bold, big decision. And I think that that's one thing I would say for someone thinking about if this could be something they could do. If you feel that you can, or even if there's a glimmer of that in you, you can do it. It's going to be a lot of work, but I would say just dig in and go for it. But I would say, we started thinking through where to have an event and what kind of vibe we wanted. And I didn't really want a hotel vibe for my conference. I wanted something different. And we visited one place, decided on that one place right away. And that is now where
because you're such a fast decision maker. I love that.
So now we are there at this same place. This is now our third year in a row. I've not changed it because it works. It's a beautiful space. We've gotten nothing but amazing feedback. The food is outstanding. So that is just the cherry on top. But, making that decision quickly on the place and the date. And it was a big financial risk for me, even personally too, because my company at that point we didn't have our membership in place. There was really not any profits at that point. And so I wrote a big check personally to deposit on our conference, and everything paid up into the time when people were buying tickets was, me just personally investing. And I'm proud that I was able to do that. And I did that because it really has set us up for future success. And that first event, again, I didn't really know what I was doing, but we put together several amazing speakers. We created a marketplace too, where we had, I think we had about 20 women that chose to purchase space to showcase their products and services. And we still have that in place to this day. That was a really amazing extra, just really focusing on our women in our community and showing them off. At that first event, we launched our membership and we announced 5 new cities to go into. So I would say if you're going to have a conference and you don't want to, it's not all about you, it's about the learning and the experience there. You do need to have something that is for you, that is kind of your kickoff for what's next for your company. We didn't make a whole lot of money on that conference per se, but our membership got started, and that's been, where our profit has been coming from since then. So that was a really neat learning experience on, all the things that went right. There's a few little things that went wrong. I have a really funny story about some chairs that showed up that I did not order. That was fun.
So many little things that always go wrong, right? It's like, there's so much. This is super inspiring, by the way. I feel so inspired, and I can feel all my women listening right now. I mean, they're super inspired too. I think that we all really crave, I think there's so much, like whether you want to throw an event or not, I think, Lucy, your ability to just say, I make decisions fast, I think is super the right approach. Like, we have to trust our gut as women. That's like the number one thing that's the advice that I give everyone. We don't trust our gut. We don't trust our instinct. And you have to also be willing to take a risk. If you want to be successful, my husband always says, scared money never makes money. Okay. So scared money never makes money. You have to be willing to take the risk and to bet on yourself, to bet on something, to go for it. And I think that that's exactly what your story shows in saying, I'm going to go for it. My favorite part of it all is in the beginning, you said that you actually aren't an event planner. So like, it's not something that you were like, hey, I throw pretty parties. I love that you have this appreciation to say, I just want to get the women together, even if it's just name tags and like a chapter president or like the person or chapter leader that's like running the area to go drive those connections. So you're so true to your why. And I'll tell you exactly where I get hung up. And I want people to know where I get hung up, because I could tell you so many women listening also get hung up in this. It's our perfectionism, right? What stopped me from doing we have an audience. We know it's going to be successful. If I throw it out there to say, we're going to do a conference, here's where it's going to be at, people will show up. So as much as we think, I think that, no one's going to show up to the party. I think that's like a natural fear that you also have. Like, it goes back to like your child, everything goes back to like your inner child. So one, I'm like, no one's going to show up to the party. No, I'm smart enough of a business person to say, no, people will show up to the party. But two, I think where, we as women get hung up is that perfectionism. And I'm like trying to overcreate this like massive experience when I could just go for it and say, I just want to invite the women. Because what's more important? Is it really the Grammable installations and like, all the other, the details are fun, but the important why, what is my why? My why is to bring, to drive women, to inspire them to build amazing businesses and to help them scale their businesses and to foster connections and to drive collaboration and to create success and to create wealth and to create impact, right? That is my why for CEO School. And I forget that because I'm so into all the other things. And I think what you did so eloquently and so perfectly, Lucy, is you said, I just want to get the women together. And whether it was 10 women that showed up, you were so happy that 10 women showed up. And I think it's such a beautiful reminder to me and to all of us listening that we just, simple is okay. Getting it started is okay. And remembering our why, focusing on that and focusing on your people versus everything else. And then the rest will come. And so I'm super inspired. And I know the women listening are inspired to get there, whatever that thing that they want to go for is, to take that bet and to say, I'm going to go for it too.
Definitely. And it's funny because yesterday, so this is a great conversation today, because yesterday I spent the afternoon at the venue at the Loveless Cafe Barn, where we'll be here for our 3rd year in a row, picking all those details. And so, picking the linens and deciding on the colors and the stage and the photo wall and, thinking of some ways that we can still keep it people centric, but provide some extra little extras. And so I think each year we've been able to, again, not from an event planner grand standpoint in a way, but stepping up a notch every single year, from decor to feel. But fun fact, we have not changed the food menu in a year. Like, in fact, we didn't even look at it yesterday. We just keep it the same as last year. And like, everyone loves the food, so why change it? So just keep it simple.
I love that too. Another great piece. Don't fix what's not broken. We're like always looking to optimize everything. Like if something works, it's a playbook. Like we teach playbooks all the time inside of CEO school. That is something that part of like I super emphasize on is if it works, just stick with it. I'm such a loyalist when it comes to I like ease, like when it comes to my vendors, when it comes to my people, like just when it comes to whatever decision, you can get it off your plate. If it works, stick with it. I love that you're like, my venue is the same for the last 3 years. Our food is like the same for the last 3 years. You don't need to make decisions on that. And I think it's such a great reminder on that.
So I want to praise you for a second, because I am like over the moon. I've hardly been sleeping, so excited that you'll be our keynote speaker. And so like ever since, I mean, it's been months and months and months. I've been, talking with my publicist about like who we're going to have. And I was like, do you know her? I love Suneera. I love every podcast she produces and watch everything you do. And, she was like, yeah, let's make it happen. So it's, again, fast decision making. And you're going to just be such a light, but also such a powerhouse of information for all of our women. Like the things that you talk about, the scaling, the strategy, just the routes for success, to me are exactly what our women are craving. Even if, whether they own their own business or not, it all to me is applicable. So it's going to be a great day.
I'm super excited, and your publicist made it happen. And I love that. I think that so often we think like, well, this person would never, like we fantasize, or like we create all of these things in our head, these stories in our head on, we don't even put our name like in the race, like before, like, or in the game, but like we don't even play, right? Like we're just like, oh yeah, we're not going to win, so we're not going to even try. And what's so funny is that like everyone is pretty accessible. Like you think that like everyone's 1 degree away from someone, and whether it's for a conference that you're throwing, or whether it's for a connection that you need for business, a collaboration that you need for your business, like if you are looking to connect with someone, there is a way to connect with them. And so don't think for a second that can't happen. And that's exactly how Lucy and I did connect. Like her publicist had reached out. I caught the email, and, it said Nashville, and I love Nashville. I actually did I'm like the cliche 30th birthday girls trip, Nashville, weekend was super fun. And so I saw Nashville, and I was like, oh, that would be such a fun weekend, to go do. And I was like, yeah, tell me more about the conference. And the conversation got started. And then I would say that when I chatted with Lucy, I was so inspired by exactly this. Like I was like, you've got to come out. This is like amazing what you're doing, because I meet so many people so focused on the digital side of women connecting. And I do fundamentally believe in this in-person side of it, like so hard. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to go check this out. And I think that there's just so much that we can do. And so I just loved meeting you. And that's how this is happening. So on my like kind of final, topic on this, because I do think it's important that networking take place. One of my greatest pieces of advice that I've ever been given by a female mentor, like by one of my first mentors, she gave me this advice almost 12 years ago when I started my career. And she said, Suneera, we can collect a lot of things in in business and, in life, but the thing that don't forget is to collect and really cultivate relationships. And, in the world that's, in business and that's changing and all the things, you never know when you're going to need something. And you want to be ready to have the best Rolodex of people around you that love and support you. And not that you ask anything of, but that if you ever did, like you have an army around you to do anything that you needed. And those are like, you need to go cultivate these relationships. And so don't forget to always put relationship first, and just don't be transactional in your journey. So that advice, literally when I started off in my startup, in 2012 at this point. Oh my God, it stuck with me. And I am so proud of like, I'm so glad that I got that advice. And I'm so proud that I actually put that as like one of my priorities every single, everywhere I go, try to meet different people, try to ensure that I'm like not just doing business with someone or I connect with someone, like meaningfully connect with people, actually genuinely get to know them outside of just this, like, what do we need from each other world? And people ask now of like how, I've had so much success and it's not my success. It's literally, I've had the right person every place that I've needed it. And you collect these relationships over time. And I think it's one of the most, like the best advice that I was given. If I were to say, what's the one piece of advice? Like that's the piece of advice. And I want to pass that to every woman everywhere. And I think that's why the boys club is so successful. Men, although they don't, their relationships are in a different way. They cultivate a lot of great relationships and they're pretty like loyal to their relationships and, not as, transactional, or I hate to use the word catty is not the right word, but they're just, they do cultivate these relationships even without knowing it. And that's where the boys club comes from, right? They have these, their networks from work and from college and from, all different aspects of their life. And I do think that that is what is going to help all of us women cultivate. We need that for us as women too. And so I think that women that get it and that are part of these communities, they totally get it. And I think that some women, it becomes that transactional. It's like, well, what am I going to get from it? What do I really need from it? You don't need anything. I think half of it is just also just getting to know, like these amazing women, these amazing people, because it does make your army stronger. And so I just love that advice. I want to bring that back. And the question that I want to ask you, for this is somebody who does this and facilitates this for a living, what are some tips and pointers that you have for women who, don't know how to network? Like sometimes networking can be really, really scary. And like, what advice do you have? Like, how do I show up to things? How do I cultivate these relationships? Would love your advice on how to actually go build a network.
I love that question. So I would say I'm an extrovert, but I can imagine walking into a big room of people that I don't know and that being intimidating even for an extrovert. And so what I think about a lot of times is when women are coming to our events or just really going anywhere, even if it's to another group's networking events, is I first want to tell them to just show up and be you. So work on being your authentic self. And that could mean you need to take a deep breath and think about the things about you that make you special before you go in the room. What is your business offer that sets you apart from others, but also showing up ready to serve. And so that's something that I talk about a lot is, it cannot be this transactional, all about me, not giving the other person a time to talk. Like it's got to be building that relationship, that trust. That's then going to set you up for success with potential business, opportunities together, or knowing that maybe that's not the person you're going to do business with, but, 3 friends down the road, or down the line, may need something that you offer. But so showing up as yourself authentically, showing up to serve, and really just, being open-minded. But, I can't stress enough being yourself. And that's just so important. The follow-up's important. Trying to think what else. We really,
I like the follow-up.
We really love to talk about, like we'll get messages like, what do I have to wear? Or like, how to, am I welcome? I do this. And like, what I really love to say is we want you to just be you. We come as you are. Is that workout clothes? Is that a suit? Is that, jeans and a blazer? Like however you are that you're most comfortable, we want you to be there. And I think that is going to set up women, especially women, for success in being themselves and feeling comfortable. But we also we have ladies that come to like every single event that we have. They are the regulars, and we really ask them to make sure you're a connector. So I love to say I'm a connector. I really feel like that is something I love to do, is connect people, but encouraging them to do that and be that for each other, finding someone that's new and, being the first to welcome them, or, hey, you've got to meet Sally, because Sally, I think, would be a good connection for you. And I think the more we can foster that and encourage that in our circles and our communities, the more everyone is successful and again feels that comfortableness in building those relationships. And you were talking about the boys club. We just need to have the women's club, and that just is a new thing.
Agreed. 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 I
But
fully
yeah.
support that. Let's talk about, as we're closing this out, this is super inspiring. I fully agree with all of it. Being your authentic
Mm,
self, whether you're showing up online or offline, is super, super important. And I love the buddy
yes.
system. Like, I'm an introverted extrovert. So, like, I get my energy from people. I could totally go do it. But then I need to like crawl up in a ball like all weekend. I need to be in my
Gotcha.
pajamas. And I need to like store my energy to give it out. And so, as like for being a CEO for 10 years, I was around like every event, every conference, all the speaking, all the podcasts, even in my own office, where we like 400 people and everybody needs something. You got a minute,
Hmm.
you got a minute, you got a minute. And like Monday through Friday, my brain is like just like for everyone. Like I'm
And then
always
you've got
giving.
children,
And so,
and then they need
yeah,
you.
oh my God. And then everybody always needs me. Everybody always needs me. And so like on the weekends, like the only way, I literally just needed pajama days. Like
Hmm.
I didn't want to make any plans. I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted everything in my house. Like I found like even like the nail person to come into my house and like a blowout person, like anything I need. Like I just literally wanted to be like no makeup in my pajamas, curled up, read a book, maybe watch some like, garbage food TV network
Yes.
show, like just needed my home time and to be alone, like not have conversations with like the
Right.
outside world in order for me to recharge. And so I finally feel like I'm out of that element of it. And like now I'm like, okay, I'm so bored at home, like with CEO school. And CEO school is so great. I get to have so much extroverted stuff, but like my team's remote, all of that's like, we have a remote team. So I'm like not in the office every day. And I'm like showing up, like everyone wears like workout clothes, like, and it's cool. We could do that. And I'm like, I just like need to go, like I need to go to a physical space. So I actually just got us like a co-working space. Like I just go into like the office because I'm like, I just still need to get ready at least 2 to 3 days out of the
Yes.
week to go somewhere and like to see people
So
and
important.
interact. And so I need that balance.
Yeah.
I need that balance. Okay, so we're closing out. I would love let's invite all the women to
Yes.
come to the conference in Nashville. I want to see
Come to
everyone.
Nashville.
The entire CO school community is invited to the Tennessee Women Connect. It is going to be in Nashville. Lucy, give us
Yeah.
all the details. I'll be linking the tickets in the show notes. I'll be like, I'm sure that we'll have some sort of code
Yeah.
that we'll plug in specifically for CO school so you guys can get the tickets. And I'll be there. I'll be keynoting, and then I'll be also hosting some VIP stuff with Lucy. So I'm just going to be hanging out in Nashville. So come hang out with me and let's listen to some amazing music and meet the best people.
The
Like
best.
literally, like Nashville has the best humans. I could see why you said there's no one mean
Yeah.
that ever shows up to your stuff. Well, because you're in
Yeah.
Tennessee, and so like that's amazing. So tell us about the
Yeah.
conference and how we can come and all the
Awesome. Well,
details.
so we are kind of in a way rebranding it a little bit, and it is Women Connect
Okay.
Live this year. And so
Women
Women
Connect
Connect Live.
Live.
So we're now in multiple states. And so Tennessee Women Connect
Yes.
Live doesn't work. So it is Women Connect Live, and we will have women from all over joining us. But it's at this beautiful barn called the Loveless Cafe Barn. And food's delicious, but we're going to fill the whole barn. Suneera is our amazing keynote. So, she's going to just really bring it to us with all things scaling and processes and growing amazing businesses. But, some other topics we're going to talk about are burnout. So we have another speaker that's going to be talking about that. And I think that's so relevant in today's time. I need to make sure I pay attention to that topic. We've got a couple of really neat panel sessions as well. So success stories is one that we've had now. This will be our third year in a row. And that's going to be one woman from each of our major 4 cities. So I'm really excited about that one. And then we also are going to have another panel on really mental health for the entrepreneur. So we've got several ladies that will either have personal experiences. We also have a doctor on that panel as well. And more announcements coming soon on other speakers, but it's going to be a power packed day of just women that are, full of knowledge, things that we all want to soak in and put to work in our business. But on top of all of that is really a full day of connecting. So we're going to open the doors at 9. Our marketplace is going to be open. We're going to have coffee and famous Loveless biscuits. That's also going to be a great time for connecting, with everyone that's there before we kickstart the day. And we do have a special VIP lunch option as an upgrade. And so that's in a special building on the campus as well. But it's going to be an amazing full day. It's September 28th. I hadn't said that date yet. September 28th.
Yes, I was going to ask.
And for anyone traveling in, we will have some room blocks at various hotels set up. So come check out the Nashville area, enjoy the conference, and then stay for the weekend. It's an amazing city, and September is beautiful here.
It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to be there. I love Nashville. I love also, look at the scalability of your conference. You had different cities. Now you're bringing all the women together. I can't wait to do the most epic things with you, Lucy. You're so inspiring. And your energy is real, and you are a real entrepreneur. These are the conversations that I love to have. And you're doing it, and you're doing it for women everywhere. And we're huge fans at CEO School. And I am so excited to welcome our audience. Come meet me live at the event. I cannot wait. Everything's going to be in the show notes. I can't wait to see you for Women Live Connect on September 28th in Nashville. And Lucy, what is the best place to reach you on Instagram and other places as well?
So Women Connect Live is our handle, and that's all things conference and details.
I'll be linking everything in the show notes. Lucy, thank you so much for being on CEO School. I'm so excited to be there, and I will see all of you in Nashville.
Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you loved it, leave us a review. We are so proud to bring you authentic conversations, game changer expert guests, and valuable content on and offline. The best compliment you can give us is by screenshotting today's show and tagging us on Instagram at CEO School and at Suneera Madani. We are obsessed with swag, so don't be surprised if we want to send you some. Thanks for tuning into class today, and remember, nothing bad happens when women make more money.